soul food is for the soul. It may not be for the body, but it is for the soul. Like, it's that comfort food. Hey y'all, welcome back to Things Come Together, where we talk about the history of soul food and how we made magic out of our toughest moments. And good morning, sunshine. As y'all can see, I have a guest. Woo! First guest. So this is my friend Shani. And hey Shani.
Hey Shani.
How you doing?
I'm stop laughing, okay?
How are you?
I'm good, Joan. I'm good.
That's
I'm
good.
sleepy, but I'm good.
That's good. You know, shout out to you, Shani. You have stuck with me. We are well past Shani's bedtime. And it is my fault. I will take responsibility for it. So I appreciate you for sticking it out with me. And, icebreaker question. Okay. So if you could only ask God for one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be?
If I could only ask God for one thing for the rest of my life, I feel like I would ask for, I was going to say contentment, but I want to say happiness. Like, I feel I would love to, but not necessarily happiness. Well, I don't want to say that. I was going to say peace, but then, like, I feel like that would still mean bad things will happen. But I feel like happiness, and no bad things will happen to me or my family, so I would like to be happy forever.
Ashe. Yeah, I was thinking peace, but I didn't think about the way that you said it. Like, just because you got peace don't mean the bad stuff don't happen.
Yeah, like,
this is true.
but then you'll still be at peace, but
this is true. This is true. I'm gonna still go with peace, but you definitely, I was thinking in between peace and joy, so I feel like we was on the same page.
Something, yeah.
But you done gave me some stuff to think about. So for how did we get here? I'm sure you all saw that the dish for today is shrimp and grits, and I put a little succotash on there. You know, I'm getting in my cooking bag. And for Shani, I made the vegan version of it. So we did hearts of palm that we can make to prepare like fish, and then some vegan cheesy grits and the succotash too. So how was it, Shani?
It was really good. It was so tasty and flavorful. I loved it. It was so good.
Thank you. Look. And I gotta shout her out. Because the fish I made before, and I learned that at the cooking class that I took with Taste of Breeze. So I'm gonna shout her out. The grits and the succotash. The succotash was easy because you just swap out the vegan butter for regular butter. But everything else in there is vegan already. The corn, tomato, and okra. And then the grits, we just use like a vegan cheese, vegan cream. And what else? And vegan butter. And yes, and the vegetarian chicken. No chicken broth.
Right, no chicken.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So that dish, I'm gonna talk a little bit about the history. And again, this is our first time having a guest, so you know we're gonna try out the format here. But I'm gonna try to go in between the history and asking questions too. So I'm gonna just give like a precursor too. So this dish, we are going to connect to like faith and spirituality, and I guess we could talk a little bit about the history of why we're doing that too. So Shani actually introduced fish and grits to me, and then Shani, how did you come to fish and grits?
That was actually a recipe I found off of that website Divas Can Cook, because at the time that was right around when I had graduated college, and I feel like I was like really like learning to cook for myself because like my mom, she was gone. I'm like, you know what? And I was really using the internet to like find recipes and stuff, and that was one that looked really good. And it was good. So
yeah, that dish is so fire. Like,
that day used to be good.
And sometimes I still go back to it. Like today, I didn't have to go back to it, but I don't cook it that often. So it's like every now and then I will go back to it. But it's still there.
It is. Same for me. Like whenever if I do make grits like in a savory way, I make it in like the broth and add like the onion powder and the paprika and stuff like that. So yeah.
And then the first time I had it was when you cooked it for the book club. And so me and Shani, I know y'all will be shocked to hear this. But me and Shani used to actually be a part of a Christian book club, and Shani actually created the book club. And I had just came back to Chicago because I was in school in North Carolina. Had just came back to Chicago, and I don't even remember like how you told me, but I know we was going to the same church together. Yeah. So what made you start the book club?
So we were actually we had started going to the book club like over in Beverly at Nunera's grandmother's house, girl. And I think it was like 4 other girls there, and Nunera, I guess for some reason she couldn't do it anymore. She asked if I could. I think that's how it went. And so that's how I started doing it. Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
For real? Do you remember Nunera?
I do. I definitely remember Nunera.
Yeah, we started, it was at her house or her grandma's house, and we would come over there and bring food and stuff. And I don't know if she asked me to do it or we started taking turns. And everybody started like coming to my house. I don't know. I forgot. So.
That's so funny because I did not know that. I remember Nunera being a part of it. And funny enough, Nunera was actually friends with one of my friends from high school. But I never knew her before the book club. But that was like a connection that I always was thinking about while we were in book club together. But yeah, okay, shout out to Nunera then. Okay, so yes, that, and then sometimes I would come over early and then we would cook together. And so that's how I guess I learned how to cook it too.
Yeah, you would come over and help prepare stuff and all that stuff. So yeah, you did.
Which is so funny. I was there early, y'all. Man, what
happened?
What a time. We're just gonna keep going. We're just gonna roll right along. Okay, so there's a lot of history behind fish and grits or shrimp and grits, which I didn't even know about. And y'all know how I go in my whole spiel, but again, because we have Shani here, I kind of want to break it up. So I'm gonna talk about a little bit at a time and then move into questions. So, the shrimp and grits actually came from the Gullah Geechee people, which I was surprised to see when I looked it up. But so the Gullah Geechee people, I mainly know them from being in South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, but they're in Savannah, Georgia too. And I think I actually saw that Geechee comes from the Ogeechee River, which is in Savannah. So I always thought they was specifically in South Carolina, and looking up the history, I learned that the Ogeechee River is in Savannah. So now, I mean, I feel like I learned something new on this all the time, but like that, I didn't know that. And Geechee culture is very special because they ended up preserving a lot of like the African history and culture as well. And I want to do some special episodes about Geechee food, and so I'm not going to go too deep into it, but part of it is that some of the enslaved Africans actually like escaped and went to, I think, the islands. And again, they're going to get me right if I'm getting this wrong, but and again, they was able to preserve that culture. And so this is just one of the dishes that they was able to keep. And we had talked about this before, how because of the Columbian exchange, some of the foods like cornmeal was actually in Africa before enslaved Africans came to America, which I would never thought about, but it was. And so they were already making some dishes. So it is possible that they were making a dish similar to this before they came to America, or they were making a dish with different ingredients but would have mocked it as well. And it made so much sense because, again, a lot of like, especially Nigerian, West African foods are like a stew and some kind of starch. And so this is not necessarily a starch, but it's very much the same thing of like a stewed meat and then the corn as well, which to that point, I didn't put 2 and 2 together that grits are corn. I'm sure I learned that. It's just ground up corn. And so again, being in the Americas and that crop being so like popular here, that's how the grits came to be shrimp and grits. And then the last thing I'll say about that is that similar to the fish, the episode where we talked about fish and how it was a lot around self-determination and people could go and get their own fish. This was a similar meal. Like people, of course, Charleston, I guess Savannah has to be close to the water as well, but they could just go and get the fish themselves. It wasn't like a ration that they had to get from the enslavers. So You know, shout out to the Gullah Geechee people. I could tell 1,001 story about y'all. Y'all know. Because being in North Carolina, we had a huge South Carolina population there too. So a lot of my close friends in school were actually from South Carolina. So they are trip. Like, but in the best way. You know how you got that family member that's like, I know they about to come and cut up, but that's your favorite family member nonetheless. That's them. And so I wanted to talk about in terms of like the spirituality, like what is your earliest like faith or spirituality memory?
My earliest was when we were over there living on 36 and Ellis. I was in kindergarten, I think, and that's when my mom started going to church. We went to church every Sunday, Wednesday, Friday. And that was my earliest memory. We started driving all the way out to Oak Park for service there, Bible study and church on Sundays. And that's how we started. My dad, he didn't go to church. My dad just started really going to church regularly, like in recent years. But with my mom, we went to church Sunday, Wednesday, Friday.
Wow.
Started when I was in kindergarten.
Wow. Yeah. I feel like I remember y'all did used to go to church a lot. Yeah. What denomination was that church?
Kojic.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Kojic. Oh my gosh, yeah. And I don't know, it just always felt like just like a part of life. It was like on Sundays I used to be annoyed because my mom, she would always want to stay after church and talk for hours, and I would be so tired. But I don't know, it just always felt like a part of life. Gotta go to church every Sunday, go to at least one Bible study. So yeah.
Wow. It's so funny too because Kojic is Pentecostal. Is it Pentecostal? I don't really know either, y'all. We're gonna look that up or somebody tell us. One of y'all tell us, is Kojic Pentecostal? But you know, I had the inkling to go to church like a few weeks ago, and I went to actually tithe. And the church that I felt the inkling to go to, is it Pentecostal? Okay, so Pentecostal. The church that I felt the inkling to go to, it was a Pentecostal church. It was actually a Nigerian Pentecostal church. And so it was very interesting. Very interesting.
That sounds interesting.
Very spirit-filled. I will give it that. Very spirit-filled. And they was in there all day long. But I met some good people there. And it actually ended up being one of my exes there. But we're going to talk about that on a different episode. But yes, okay, so I get a picture too. And I actually called the church before I went. And the pastor was telling me about all the different services. And I think I went that Sunday. They had a service on Wednesday. And the pastor actually called me afterwards. Like, oh, we just finished with service. Just call and check on you. Which
nice.
Was very sweet. But in low-key was like, we had service. Where was you at? Like... It's like, pastor,
Did you really come?
I didn't sign up to be a church member. Now I just came to, be in the house of the Lord. So it's interesting. We're gonna get deeper into the church conversation, but so another part of the history behind grits is that, of course, we know corn is indigenous to America, or actually all of America, South, North, all of it, and so native people, so there's a tribe called the Muskogee tribe, and they actually were the first people to like ground up corn and make grits. Okay. Probably not the first to ground it up because we talked about tortillas, and I think tortillas came out of Mexico, but the first to make grits with the ground corn. And they would make this dish called safki, and it was like it had like a sour taste to it. And then of course, it made me think like, okay, well, let me learn more about the Muskogee tribe, and come to find out that they were mostly around the southeast region of the country, but now they're mostly based in Oklahoma because of like colonization and all of that stuff. So very interesting history there. And so the next question we had was, how has your faith evolved? Like, how would you describe your spiritual journey?
Oh my gosh. I feel like as a kid, like I felt like it was just something that we had to do. And I think it was like certain parts of church that I enjoyed, but again, it just felt like it was just a part of life. And then as I got older, I felt like in my mind at the time, I felt like I came to learn about God, like who I felt like He was to me, instead of just following my mom and what the pastor and stuff told us to do. And now I feel like I believe in God, but you probably would never see me in anybody's church ever again. I don't know, but I don't know. That's just how I don't know. I just feel like, I mean, I know that church for a lot of people is like a really great community, and I love that for everybody else, but I don't see myself in church like anymore. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, so I have felt the same exact way, which is why when I got this inkling to go to that church, I'm like, God, what is this about? Which I reserve kind of, because I even, like, after going to the church, I was like wrestling with myself about a bunch of stuff too. And so last year I started posting like scriptures on Sundays and stuff. And most of the time I would look a particular scripture up that day, like read the whole chapter, and that was like the extent of it. But now I started reading like a chapter a day. And so it just funny being ended up that some of the stuff that I was wrestling with myself about was actually stuff that I was reading in those chapters that I was reading like a little bit afterwards. So it helped like smooth out some of the stuff that I was wrestling with when I was going there. But every time I go to church, it's literally like, and these are the things that, you know, these are the reasons basically. But I do feel like I'm drawn to that church for a specific reason in this current moment, in this current season, as they say. But it definitely be all the things like, I see, this is why, this is why, this is why. So it's so interesting, but I'm curious too of like why you feel that way. Like why you feel like you would never go to church again.
Because I feel like I was like to me, at the time, I didn't consider myself religious, but now I look back how I was when I was in maybe ending of high school and college. Like I was very religious. Like I was like, whatever the Bible says and whatever the pastor says, this means that's what it is, and everything else is evil, demonic, and everything else is going to hell. And like, I'm like, if this God, now I just feel like if this God that we serve is so loving, which I feel like He is, like I just don't believe a lot of stuff that they teach in the Bible. Like I don't know, it's so weird. I'm like, how can He do like some of the things that they say God will do? Like why will He send somebody to hell just because of this? And it's just like, it's just a lot of stuff that's just hard to believe for me now. And it just seems, I don't know, like just crazy and kind of fake to me. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel it. Like I feel like I'm wrestling with myself and like a lot of things as far as spirituality is concerned right now, but it's like it's in a good way, I feel like. But yeah, there are a lot of things in the Bible that I don't agree with as well. So I get that. So there's always this tension of like, okay, well, how are you still like using the Bible, and then there are things in it that you don't agree with. But I also feel like I'm in this place right now where it's like my faith, and I feel like this is kind of what you're saying too, like my faith is very personal, you know, and it's not based off of what a spiritual leader may be saying, which like, you know, I think it's different strokes for different folks. Like some people, they love that and it works for them, and that's great. And me, I'm just like, okay, there are some things in this that I agree with, some things that I don't agree with. I'm gonna take the things that I do agree with and move on and leave the things that I don't. But it's interesting because I feel like when it comes to faith, and I think this is why I feel like I'm wrestling with so much of it, is that for people who do, like, and I don't want this to become like a church bashing thing, which I often have to like toe the line of. So, you know, give grace. You know, y'all church people, give grace. But I feel like a lot of times it's like all or nothing, you know? And it's like that, like you said, that doesn't even really make sense for like the type of God that we talk about. Is like, you know, which everybody has a different interpretation of God, but I think similar to you is like, I just don't believe that, you know?
Like, Yeah. And they use it, and I don't feel like people realize, because I remember being like in that place myself where I really felt like that was right and literally everything else was wrong. And now it just feels like people use it to like hate people. But again, I remember being in that place. I didn't hate anybody. I just really felt like that was right and that was wrong. And I just hate it. It's so annoying now to me. Like, are you serious? Like, stop.
No, I get that. Because I used to be the same way. And I mean, doing movement work, I spent a lot of time in like queer spaces. And I remember one time we were doing the icebreaker, and it's like your mask versus like who you really are in real life. And I talked about being homophobic at one point in my life, which like, you know, was in a room full of queer people. So it was a moment, you know how like the music stopped in the movie and everybody kind of turned and look at you like, you've been here all this time. But it was my truth. Like, it was my truth that like I had stayed away from like younger movement spaces for a while because they were so queer friendly. And being in the church, I was like,
yeah, I'm like, y'all are, this is wrong. This is evil.
That's how I used to feel too. And then though, when you look at it though, like a lot of queer people are the people that's on the front lines, but like it's hard to get church people to like say anything that's like around social justice and anything like that. And I'm like, now y'all talking all this God talk and ain't doing nothing to help the everyday people or like saying anything about the injustice that's going on right now. But these people that you say are so unholy are the same people that's like fighting for black people, fighting for all of us, the people that go to church too. So I definitely understand that too. Like, I feel like I've had to like deprogram a lot of stuff that I got while I was in church too, which we ain't bashing the church people much.
No.
We just
I met some of the like my friends, people that I'm still friends with now. I met them at church or in religious settings like that Pinky Promise group and book club and New Life. Like, I met some of the best people there. Some of them still go there.
For sure.
Yeah. So.
That's how I think about it too. Y'all know I can talk, so I'm gonna keep going. But I was thinking about, I had recently bumped into Sandra at a concert, and it was so funny. Like, it was funny because we was both talking about how we had manifested a lot of the stuff that we would talk about during that time. And so like I will always be talking about social justice stuff, and like that I ended up doing that. And I remember her and a few other people would always be talking about family, like wanting to start a family and stuff like that. And she was there with her daughter, and I was like, and you did too. Like, so it was good to see her. And okay, so I wanted to talk about, so last episode when we talked about corn, I had told y'all there was a Kenyan person who cooks online, and I couldn't remember their name, so I put it in my notes. I was like, I want to give them their shout out. So Dennis Ombachi, and he was an Olympian. He played rugby, and now he does like these cooking content videos where he's like outside on a mountain or some type of outdoor balcony type of space, and he like cook everything while he's outside, which I've been seeing a lot of people do that lately. Like, I
have too. Yeah, they'll be like you said, like on a mountain or in like a field or something. Yeah. Really
right. And so that's how his content is, and so I wanted to give him his shout out, and I'm gonna ask another question because I wanted to go into another piece, but I'm gonna stop and ask a question because actually I got more questions in history, y'all. So we're gonna try to move through this. So we kind of talked about church experiences already, but I wanted to ask, okay, so how do you communicate with God now? Like, what does communication with God look like to you?
Right now, I feel like I still pray. Like, I'll pray, not necessarily like on like this schedule. No, I don't want to call it a schedule like I used to do. Like, I would pray every morning or whatever. But now I just pray as I feel led to. And I pray also at night with my kids because that's always been like our routine. And if I don't pray, they're like, so, pray with the kids at night. And then I pray also like as I feel led to pray at some point during the day.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I feel like I do pray it's not the first thing that I do, but it's one of the first things that I do. So to be honest, the first thing I do on most days is make my post on Instagram, because I'm like, if I don't do that, it ain't gonna get done.
That's good. And you being consistent, I love that.
Thank you. Thank you. And I feel like that's also a part of like my assignment right now, which feels weird to talk about social media in terms of assignment, but I do feel like that's the assignment that God has for me now. So I've also learned that like so I was about to use the word obedient, but that's not the word that I want to use because of such of like the connotation that comes with obedience a lot of times. But it's more like by doing the things that God is like nudging us to do, I feel like that is a form of prayer too. That's kind of how I look at it. So that's why I'll get up and do that before I do anything else. And even small stuff like I need to do this more often. And again, we all in my business. We don't need to be in my business like that. But like, I'm one of those people that can live with a little bit of clutter. But when it gets too bad, sometimes when I'm supposed to be praying, I'll like straighten up because it's like, this is a form of prayer too, like, so that's kind of how I look at the posting on social media too. So I do that like first thing prayer, but it's not the first thing that I do. But I think similar to what you're talking about, it's more of like throughout the day. Like I literally will talk to God throughout the day. Like it don't matter what it is. I'll be like, all right, God, I need you right now. Like, come on, God. Like, exactly. So I do a lot of that now too. And then it's funny that you talked about the kids, because I remember like I like love, and I think some point like the Bible talks about too, like about being childlike and stuff like that. But I love like the way that children like love God and spirituality. Like it's a very natural thing. Like they might not know as much about like religion and things like that, but it's something that's so like natural to children to be like immersed in it.
I never thought about that, because now my kids sometimes their dad, they'll go to church with him or whatever, or their grandma on the weekends, and now they're like, even though we always prayed and stuff, now they're like really into it, and Christian be wanting us to go back to church.
Do that with your daddy. I understand. That's how I used to be with my mother, because when I grew up, we was like those Easter Sunday Christians.
That's about to be us.
We was Easter Sunday Christians, and like every now and then she would get the inkling to go, but for the most part it was only like big holidays and stuff like that. And like when I finally did start going to church more regularly, I would literally be like, even if she didn't come, I would literally be like, okay, I need to go to church. Like, I need you to take me to church, basically. But it would be a lot of times I would be like bringing my mother to church. And so it's just like that childlike spirit of like, like I want to be here, which is like, I think also becomes a part of the whole like, okay, now I see and understand more things. So now I may not want to be here as often, but I think even the idea of them going to church is more about like having like a hunger for God type of thing. So that's really like, I love that. And we didn't even talk about that, but yes, you're a mom. Like, how many kids, how many children you got? Yes. Got 3 children. Yes. And your kids, they all have such different personalities. I guess I'm an only child, so y'all know. Like, it's like, they have different personalities. Like, yeah, Joe, that's kind of how that works.
They do. They definitely do. Oh my God.
Shout out to them. Shout out to, all of them have these beautiful personalities. Of course, my mind went straight to Christian. And Christian. When he was younger, I used to call him Baby Bone Crusher. They used
to call him that. Oh my God. Christian is, I don't know how to Christian.
I feel like he's going to be the one that like take care of the family. Like when he get older, you gonna be looking at him the whole time like this child. But then when he get older, he gonna be like, this child. Like, right. You got 3 chances of somebody taking care of you when you get old, which like, I be trying to remind myself, like, girl, you need to have some kids. Like, who's gonna take care of you when you're a little old lady?
Don't do it, y'all.
I want kids either way, but that be in my mind, like, the day that you think you don't want kids, like, think about yourself at 80. You gonna need somebody.
That is true.
So, okay, so the other piece about the grits is that, remember I was telling y'all about the meal and how in Africa they have fufu that they make out of cornmeal. So, in Kenya and another place they call it ugali, but in Zimbabwe, they call it saza, and it's actually the national dish of Zimbabwe.
Oh, really?
And they make something called road runner stew that is somewhat close to shrimp and grits, but it's made with chicken, but it is like a stewed chicken that they make with like the side of grits too. So, you know, we everybody have been saying on these posts that I've been making about like African influences on U.S. culture or U.S. Black culture that like we are one or like we connected. It's in the DNA. Like people have been saying all kind of different stuff, which like a lot of it has been beautiful to see how people are receiving it. But then like it's true. Like you know we still do so much of what we did before we got here, and we don't even know it a lot of times because we're so separated from the history. So.
This is amazing what you're doing, like, because I didn't know a lot of this stuff. I learned some things today.
Thank you. And a lot of stuff that you do is amazing too. Like,
Thanks, John. That'd be fun.
no, you do. I always tell you that because before I started cooking, I didn't think I had like a craft kind of thing. But then I always be like, okay, Shani, like, because you do a lot of art and you're a graphic designer. I'm like, Shani can do all of this stuff. Like, she can make something out of nothing. Like, I will always be thinking that about you. And I'm like, Shani ain't gonna never go broke. Like, as long as you can make something out of nothing, you will never go broke. Like, so. For sure, like and even speaking about that, and so I be wanting to get ahead of myself, which like I guess I should just go with the flow, but I'm gonna come back to that part. I'm gonna make a pin in that, but I wanted to talk about just like how you make your own shirts and stuff, and like you sell a bunch of your stuff. So remind me to come back to that. Okay. What are your current spiritual practices?
My current, I don't know. Like again, I do like pray. I believe like in the power of like also like manifestation. So like writing things down and you know when I feel led to like even just talking out loud to God about things, that's kind of just what I do, writing things down, journaling and talking to God.
I love that. Yeah, journaling and writing. And they say like write the plan down, make it plain or something like that. So
Make it plain.
come on now. Come on now, it's still in there.
It's still in there. Oh, Joe.
Come on now.
Oh my God, Joe.
I love that. And then I wanted to ask, so how has your faith impacted your relationships? And it can be any kind of relationship. So it could be family relationships, friend relationships, romantic relationships. Like, how has your faith impacted your relationship?
Like while I don't like go to church anymore, I feel like I was like subscribe to like religion. I feel like it's still like my not a basis, but I guess as it pertains to like character and people's morals and values and things, like I feel like I still draw from that. Like when I look at people, when I'm talking to them and just hearing about, you know, the way that they live and how they view things, I feel like it still goes through that same like filter and lens or whatever, like even when I'm not thinking about it. And yeah, and even one time I met this one guy when I feel like I was not so spiritual anymore, and he was like very into spirituality. He was like grilling me about the Bible when our first few conversations, and he ended up telling me that I would not be a good fit for him, and I think it was because of that. I was like, okay.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah,
like, thank you for doing me a favor.
Right, I'm like, I wouldn't, yeah. But, so yeah, I feel like in that way. For sure. I feel like I still just use it as a kind of like a compass. You want to not think about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that. I was about to say, they say the church, like the men in church be the worst ones. So
girl,
you can know that Bible all day long, but
they do be. I feel like a lot of men, and I could be very wrong because men sometimes as a collective get on my nerves. But I feel like a lot of men who be in church, I feel like, and again, this is me being jaded, I feel like a lot of men in church are just there because it like gives them like this control and like this sense of like empowerment over women and stuff like that. Like a lot of the stuff that men talk about from the Bible and like within like relationships and family is because of they feel like they're
come on now, Sister Shani, come on now.
I hate it. Like I feel like men are in church for the not all of them, for the wrong reasons.
And picking up the wrong stuff. Like you went through all the passages in the Bible and you stopped at the one that said that a wife got to submit to her husband.
And that's it, and nothing else. So it's like they get on my nerves. I'm like,
That's real. That's real. And we didn't talk about this, and I was like trying to pull it out, and we don't have to talk about it. I can cut this part out. But I wanted to talk about too about how like you feel like, because we both are very transparent about how we have been married and we are no longer married. Okay, we freed ourselves. You do what you want to do when you want.
yeah.
And we even talked about like we would get married again. Like I said, my next one is my last one, whether it work or not. That's the last one. But I wanted to ask you, like, because you were still going to church during the time that you were going through your divorce.
Yes.
And so
yes. I'm sorry. Did you finish your
No,
question?
I think he was about to roll into it, but just the idea of like, how did your faith at the time and like your presence in church impact how you dealt with your divorce?
That is so like loaded. Oh my God. Because I was still in church, and when I started finding out like even more about all the like awful things he was doing, I decided to seek spiritual counseling from the pastor's wife, and eventually couples counseling with the pastor and his wife. And when I would talk to the lady, her like point will always be that God hates divorce and think about the kids and stuff like that. And so that would make me like, let me try to figure out and work this out or whatever. And when I would talk to, like when we would go to couples counseling, and I would talk to her about how his like just serial cheating made me feel disgusted with him, and I never want to have sex with him again. She used to say things like, well, you need to take one for the team sometime. And I'm like, because of what? That's why I just like, now I'm just like, y'all really feel that way, and y'all really tell people stuff like that just because the Bible says this. That's why I'm just like, that's not right. That is not right. Like, I don't know. And I really, at the time, I believed it to the point where I was really trying to work things out with him because of what the Bible says. And it's like, now I'm like, that wasn't right. That was not right.
That's real. That's real. And I think about it because when I went through my divorce, I was not in church. Like I wasn't even really, I was not praying at the time. Like I had completely distanced myself with God. And the way I talk about that time is like, but God would always still show me like, I'm here. Like whether you want to talk to me or not, I'm going to be talking to you. So, but being from that perspective, I think that's why it was somewhat easier for me to make the decision to go through with the divorce, but it still was hard. Like even not being in the church, it still was hard because of the way that church makes everybody feel about divorce. And it's like, I'm sure God would prefer people to have long-lasting marriages, but if the marriage ain't good, then God would, I would think, would want us to be separate than try to make it work just for the sake of
like the God that I believe in would not want me and my kids in a house full of abuse where a man is waking up every single day starting fights with me and leaving the house for days and just doing all kinds of horrible, awful things. I mean, I don't believe in that God. So,
Exactly.
Not that one.
Exactly. I feel the exact same way. And that's why, I don't know. I'm going to say, that's why I feel like, and that's why a lot of times I say wrestle, because it's like, I want I want God to be happy with me as a person,
Right.
regardless of what that means. You know, I want to make God happy.
Yeah.
And I do feel like a lot of times when we think about making God happy, it's according to at least the way that we grew up. Because we didn't talk about this either, but like we grew up in Catholic school. So a lot of my earliest memories are like from first grade growing up in Catholic school. So it's like I've been learning this basically my whole life.
We did have a class called religion.
Exactly. So it's like I'm thinking like that the way to make God happy is to like follow the Bible to a T. And I wrestle with myself because it's like, okay, but some things I have to take a step back and look at, okay, I don't want to say common sense because I don't want to, obviously we know that God does things that are not according to common sense, so to speak. But it's just, I don't know, it's kind of like a grounding of a point of like, okay, yes, this is not God. You know what I'm saying? Like that, even though I wasn't religious at the time, I still knew like what that's going on up in here. This ain't God. God don't want nothing to do with this.
Right.
And if it's time to let it go, it's time to let it go so that I can find what God does have for me. Because this ain't it. So it's interesting. Like I wasn't religious at the time. My ex was Muslim, and so he prayed 5 times a day. So he was very religious, but it wasn't an aspect of our relationship. And I think about that a lot of times too. Of like, faith has never really been an aspect of my relationship. And I mostly date Nigerians. Like anything you know about Nigerians, they are very spiritual, religious people. They love God, which is good. It's good to love God. But it never was a part of like our relationship. And so now I'm thinking about like, okay, I think I would like to find somebody who is spiritual to some extent, but not in a manipulative way.
Right, yeah, that part.
Yeah, in a way that like helps me grow in my faith, but also gives me freedom.
Right.
You know?
That would be nice.
Shout out to all the holy spiritual men out there. All 3 of y'all. So yeah, that's like the history, our history. Yeah, y'all, we'd have been on a journey. We'd have went from book club to help them people. But help us too. We all need help. So this is not church bashing as much as I'm trying to be on the good side of things. But yeah, so for our next topic, don't be rude, or the next segment, don't be rude. So, you know, I like to talk about trending topics in this area, and, you know, Shani be low-key blowing up the internet, you know, and it be so, like, you know, innocent the way that she do it. She'll, like, drop a post and then, like, oh, moving on. And the internet be in shambles, okay? The internet be in shambles on the stuff that she posted. So you have posted this post that I saw that was like a mock Netflix thing, which like this is why you should not beef with a graphic designer, because they're gonna roast you in a way that like comes with images. Like if I say something about you, it's just what I said about you. If Shani say something about you, it's gonna come with a whole graphic like strategy 3-point video like. You're not living this down, basically. And so the post has said surviving a Simeon ninja, which like Shani then blew up the spot on who her person is. So we're not gonna talk about them, okay? Because everybody know who we be talking about. But me, I'm gonna talk about my story, which like it's a quick story because I actually told y'all the story before. So on episode 3, when I was talking about like my sexual journey of such, I told y'all about this guy that I dated when I was in high school who used to try to take me down on the couch with my grandma in the house. No. Simeon Ninja. Yes, and you actually know who it is, which we're not gonna say, but you know exactly who it is because I met this person through you.
Wait.
They not. But yeah, so that was the one. He went to Simeon, and this prompted my mother, my grandma, that had to talk with my mother, that had to talk with me, that came down to don't have sex. So that whole conversation came from a Simeon man. Simeon ninja. So yes, that's my surviving the Simeon ninja. Shout out to Granny and my mama, you know.
That's so funny. Oh my God.
We gonna talk about it for real when we. But I did want to use this topic to also talk about content creation, because I feel like we both in that space of like content creation, whether it's like intentional or not intentional. Like that's what we do. We be tearing up the internet, causing a ruckus. Like.
We do.
So, and also I wanted to talk to you about how you use content creation for like to sell like merch, basically. So yeah, like. How did you start doing content creation, or like just like being active on social media? Like, how did you start?
Like being active on social media, I feel like I started like technically like when I was too young to be on the internet, making Black Planet pages and MySpace and stuff. But Facebook, I feel like in high school, I used to be on there writing nonsense, like all day long, statuses about stupid stuff, like boys and whoever my relationship was, talking shit about them. Just nonsense all day for years.
Which was serious at that time, though. It seemed like nonsense now, but during that time,
very serious. You was right. I was hurt, happy as hell some days, sad girl, going through it. But I don't know. I feel like that's when it started, and just been addicted to social media since then.
But it's addictive to all of us, you know. It's addictive to all of us. Like, they talk about those dopamine hits of like how you get like, I think like how you go on a roller coaster, or like when you fall in love. Like those are the kind of feelings that social media give you. So that's why we just be on there all the time. So yeah, when did you start using social media to sell merch and things?
To sell merch and stuff, I feel like after when I was it was literally when I was married, I was trying to find ways to like make money so that I can save up and leave. I was literally, and like one of the first things I came across was like Etsy and print on demand and making digital products and stuff. And that's how I learned about like my business model is like print on demand, and that's how I learned about it when I was trying to find ways to make money like without having any money, because I didn't have any. And I was trying to find ways again so I can save money for me and the kids so I can leave. And that was one of the first things I came across. And so I feel like that's how like I started. And I would try to like promote my shirts by like posting on Facebook and Twitter. And Instagram.
I'm gonna say, see, I didn't even know that. Look.
Girl, I was like, I used to literally Google like, how do you make money without no? I forgot what I said. No, I said, how do you get a divorce with no money? That's what I used to search all the time, and like that was one of the things people start Etsy stores and print on demand, and that's what I started with.
I love that. See, that's when your back is against the wall.
Girl, how do you get a divorce with no money and 3 kids?
You're gonna figure something out. I love that. And a lot of like the stuff, I mean, you do sell all kind of stuff. Like if it's a concert or something, you make merch for that. And I know you have like, you do like Black characters that are typically white. So like Charlie Brown.
Say, what else did I do? I did Sailor Moon. She was Sailor Moon. Yeah, and like it's like whenever there's like you said, like an event, like a popular event or like a holiday and stuff, that's when I like make stuff, and that gets really popular.
Yeah, so Shani, you know, then that girl will forever be that girl. Like and which like I'm low key this year you need to give me the dates for the Simeon picnic so I could be there. Yes. But why not? Okay. But you also be making like merch for like the different high school reunions in Chicago too.
Simeon, I call it the top schools to me or whatever, and then people like Thornton come like, can you make some stuff for them? No. But so yeah, I feel like I got like a line of like most of the like quote unquote top schools or whatever. I have Brooks.
You got merch for them? I did not know that. Brooks, and how we get on the top? I mean, we are, but
one of the quote unquote in my mind the main schools in Chicago. Brooks was one to me. I feel like she was one to me because of you. Maybe that's why.
Okay, because I was like, we don't even have reunions, which we'll get back to that. But yes.
Brooks, Kenwood, Whitney Young, Delmar, like all this stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Simeon.
Mm-hmm. Which, like, the high school rivalries get very real during the summertime.
They be so hyped up. They be literally getting offended about the post. I'm like, be for real. Y'all are crazy.
It's a fun time, though.
It's so fun. That's why I'm like, it's really fun. But it be people on there, like, literally arguing and having real life arguments. I'm like, y'all cannot be serious. Getting offended, like, why y'all still talking about high school? I'm like, it's a joke.
It's so funny because, like, the Brooks people just be sitting on the internet looking at each other go back and forth. Like, it's like watching a basketball game because, like, we don't even have reunions, so we can't enter the chat at all. Like,
that's so funny.
I finally said something last year, like, all right, now it's September. Y'all been talking about this since May. Now, come on now. What we doing now?
God, it's so funny.
That's about the most that we could say.
That is hilarious. That man's always been people like, all right, y'all gonna talk about this all year? I'm like, kinda, yeah.
And if we want to, like, yeah, I feel like Simeon always been one of those schools though, like, cause y'all always had a good sports program, so it's like y'all always get a lot of good energy. And now, like, even when D Rose came back to the city and did all that stuff around Simeon, nice. It's like, dang, here we go again. Here we go again. Like,
I literally went there by accident. 5-1 Jelani. I would have never cared.
And look at you now. You dang near the president of the alumni committee.
That's funny. I'm on the committee now, and I'm the, what do they call me? I forgot my role. Damn. Public relations co-chair person. But yeah, that's been really interesting too. Like learning about how these older, I don't want to call them old people, but all the people that came before us and that really make this picnic like this historic thing every year. It's like all year round thing. It's crazy. I'm like, so yeah, we got a meeting on Sunday. Yeah.
Y'all better do that.
It's crazy. We doing it. Yeah, that's a lot.
The 2 years we tried to have, I think they tried to do reunions 2 years. And shout out to the person who put it together. But it was literally one person, like, basically throwing a big barbecue, basically. So the fact that y'all have...
That's probably what it started with.
That's real.
Simeon, yeah.
That's real.
They should not be discouraged.
You're right. Shout out to you. Get back to it. And I'm going to come to this one next time. I ain't been to one yet. I mean, y'all... Okay, so we kind of talked about this before we started, but just the whole idea of, like... Because you were saying you don't feel like you're really a content creator.
Yeah.
But me, I'm like, you definitely a content creator, girl. Like,
making content.
Yes.
About what?
But I feel like your content is very organic. Like mine, I do, like, I have certain days, like every day I post a certain type of content.
That's what I want to do. It just don't come out that way.
And we can work on that if that's really what you want to do. But I do think that you make a lot of organic content that's really good, and that also gets a lot of traction. Like the girl who did the mirror, she was just doing regular everyday content. Like she was not like, okay, on this day I'm gonna say the mirror. Like no, that was just her.
That was so funny. And when it first started, that was so funny. And
then it popped off. So that's why I like your content. Like, yes, look, we gonna get there, not trying. Like. So I love your content, and like, so how do you decide what you gonna like put out and what, like, how do you decide that?
I think whatever, like, that I feel like I have like a lot of thoughts about something, like I'll share it, or I'll feel, sometimes I don't, I'm like, I do not feel like hearing from the peanut gallery today. So, I don't know, it just differs, like, depending on kind of like what's going on and what I feel like most passionate about. If I have like I feel like I have a lot to like write about something, and I care to hear what other people say, then I'll post something about that. Or if something like happens to me that I thought was really interesting or funny to share or whatever, I'll do that.
Yeah, I love your content. It's lifestyle content. A lot of your content is lifestyle content. I literally, because decided that I was going to post 5 days a week. And so I take basically Fridays and Saturdays off. And then every day is like a particular type of post. So like on Mondays, I try to do like a motivational thing. Tuesdays, I post food and my music. And I don't care if y'all tired of that song. Y'all gonna keep hearing it. Wednesdays, I post something about the podcast. And Thursdays, I do like a political post. And so that's kind of how I plan it out every time. And it's like, that's what I'm saying. If you want to do that, I would love to like work with you to figure out what you want your different days to be. But like, I also love that organic content.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So, and also it's possible to do like a mixture of both. You know, it could be like organic and then some things I plan. But me, I'm still learning to like, I feel like you said, you've been very present on social media since we was in high school. Me, I'm just starting. I used to be that person that's
you
like,
would never post ever.
Yes,
ever. I'm like, I want to be like that. Let me get off of here, please.
But I'll still be on there. Like that's the thing. I would be on there. I just wasn't posting.
Yeah.
So now I love that I'm actually creating more. You know.
That's good, John. I forgot about that. You did not used to post. You would you would maybe comment on something, maybe. But that was it.
So it's been interesting. Even what you said around like not wanting to hear from the peanut gallery. You know, when celebrities used to complain about that, I used to always be like, why do you care what these people think? Like, it'd be so annoying.
You don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. What are we talking about?
Right. Nobody knows. It's true. And it's like at the level that we at, it's like we know the people who are saying stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Like every now and then it'd be like, well, I'm getting to the point now, like I have my first viral post, which is so interesting.
You said you did?
Yes. On Instagram, I have my first post and it's at 19,000 likes, I think. It might be a little more, which like, which like, that's viral for me, okay? I be getting 3 likes on my post.
That is definitely viral. Is it this one?
It's the Senegambian one. Go down. Yep, this one.
Oh, yeah, that's dope, John.
I got my first viral post.
Oh, shit.
See, exactly. Which, like, half of that is me, because I'll be going in and responding to people, talking about the comments. But,
that's so dope. I didn't see this one.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
No, you fine. So, yes, I got my first viral post, which, like, Shani be going viral all the time. But I got my first viral post, and it came with so many different comments and opinions about things. And I had to, like, level myself to focus on the good comments, because I feel like a lot of people, like, they supported the post, you know, but it's something about the negative comments just make you feel like zero in on them. And the post is about the Senegambian influence on New Orleans culture, dance culture. And I had so many people get in there talking about that Black people are Native Americans and we don't come from Africa. Which, if that's what you believe, that's your business. I'm not here to try to, you know, fix nothing. I'm sure there are
somebody hijacking the subject.
Right. I'm sure there are Black people who like are indigenous to America, and a lot of us came through enslavement, unfortunately. And it got to a point where I just posted and pinned a poster like, listen, all the Black Aboriginal Indian people, this post is for the Africans, okay? Y'all can huddle up, but keep it cute. Because they be coming in strong like, y'all are stupid, what?
Just be on there losing it, like, what is so annoying.
Like, whoa there. So it's been interesting to like.
This is so dope, John. Sorry.
Thank you. No, I'm like, I feel like I finally cracked social media, which it took me 10 whole months, 10 faithful months. But it was enough to let me know, like, okay, you can do it. If you did it once, you can do it again. So
definitely.
That's why. It's just interesting, like, now I get why people be so bothered by the comments and stuff like that. Because I used to always be like, why do you care about what these people think? And it's like, then you find yourself in a situation like, I guess I do care. Like,
got a little time. Right. Girl, I was cussing them people out on my, that viral post about my dad.
Which one?
It was like a couple years ago about that swimming pool. I don't know if you remember, but that post went viral for some damn reason. And all them.
That he put together for the kids? Is that the one? Okay.
That one. Girl, they was losing.
What was they saying?
They will find anything. What was it? They were mad because they said, "What if there's a fire? There's not going to be no more water left." I'm like, I'm pretty sure if the fire department thought it was not going to be no water left, they wouldn't have filled our pool with fucking water. But, girl, they was losing about that fire department.
Lord, which like, yes, we understand we need the universe, but come on now, the kids need to be able to swim.
Girl, filled that pool up. Had a ball.
Exactly. And didn't think twice about it.
Ain't nobody's house burned. People so annoyed, but anyway.
And then it's like people get on a wave about it. Like it take one comment to be like that, and then
that's so annoying. People are irritated.
Like if it's one person that commented, okay, but then once they whole community come together on that one post, like, can y'all go somewhere else? Like, can y'all find another post?
That's what happened when I had brought Mace. I had a video of how I brought Mace inside the store, girl. The damn service dog people found my post. No. They was like, "That's not a service dog." I was like, "Okay." And then more people came, "That's not a service dog." I said, "Well, yes, she is." It's like, "No, it's not." They was making videos about me and stuff. And I just started to troll them at that point. I'm like, anyway, yeah. Maple is a service dog. See?
Okay, listen, she my service dog. Yeah. People are nuts. And then with that post, like I feel like with that post that I had, while I look on my explore page on Instagram and I see the video, I'm like, oh my goodness, my video's on the explore page.
Girl, now I hate when they do that, when they at least tag me and give me credit.
So I will say what she did. She did so the post that I put with it, she put it underneath her post. Now granted, the person has to go to the comments or to the actual like wording of the post and then scroll all the way down at the bottom. But I will say that she did give me my credit. But like, she's more popular than me, which is fine. Like, it doesn't matter. That kind of stuff, it really doesn't matter. But it's like, because she has more followers, people see it as more of her content as opposed to something. So it was so interesting.
And now it's suddenly this rhetoric where it's like, well, it's on the internet, so you can't say nothing about that. I'm like, well, it's mine. I made it.
Exactly.
Like, no, it is.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's like she did credit me in the like wording of the post. So it's like I can't like go too ham on her. But when you watching reels, nobody really like unless you really care, you're not looking at the description. So it just taught me like, okay, this happens, you know? This happens. And that's why because I repost a lot of content too, but I try to make sure I keep people tagged on that.
Right.
Unless I can't, like if you can't download it and you have to copy the link, then I have to take the tag off. But I'm really careful about making sure that I keep people tagged on it because it's like, it's work. It may seem simple.
Right.
And I think a lot of people that don't post a lot on social media, they look at it as like, oh, this is a really simple thing. Like when you posting, it's work basically. Like,
and it's yours. You thought of that. It was your thing that you took time into finding stuff. And, I don't know.
It's true. It's true. So yeah, we've been learning a lot about content creation. If you could give people like one advice about being visible on the internet, what would you say?
One piece of advice for that. Silent. One piece of advice I would give people is, I don't know. Even though I feel like I haven't found my lane yet, I really do feel like it's value in being like authentic, just being yourself, like whatever that is.
That's right.
And again, I have not found like the place that I want to be yet. I do feel like it's a community of people who are going to enjoy who you are and what it is that you bring to something. And so I think
that's right.
I'm going to keep doing that.
That's right. No, I love that because I think that is what's like finally helping me to crack the internet, so to speak, because my political post is the one that finally broke through. And for a long time, I actually thought that about not posting anything political because I was worried that people from the movement community would see me as like being an opportunist and like trying to make a name off of like my politics. Which, granted, I had my politics before I came into movement work, but that's neither here nor there. But I will say, of course, being a part of the work has developed my politics. But that's the work that I've done for the last 12 years. It's a part of who I am. It would be inauthentic for me not to talk about it.
Yeah.
So you talking about whatever it is, make sure it's authentic to you. I feel like that's the key to it.
Yeah.
That's the key to it. Because then it's like you don't have to try to keep up with this persona that you created. It's just naturally who you are.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So I get that. My tip would be just keep going. Like, even when it feels like nobody is paying attention, like, keep going. Because if I had to stop, I would have stopped a long time ago. Like, literally, and even now, like, after having that big post, I still have most of my posts only 3 or 4 people like. So it's not like everything has changed now that I had that one post, but it just teaches me that it's possible.
Yeah.
And so I feel like you don't learn that until you keep at it. Like, don't let the 3 to 4 likes discourage you. So
I agree. I like that. I needed to hear that.
no, it's real. Listen, it's real. So I'm sorry, y'all. I got this little, what is this? Some midriff top on. It has a mind of its own. Huh?
I said it's like a mini, one of those captains. Like the style of it kind of reminds me of it. But it's like a cropped one now.
Okay, yes. I thought you said cactus. I was like, huh?
No.
I was like, you trying to say I look like a cactus, Shani? Okay, and so our last segment, Greatest Place on Earth, this is where we do affirmations. And so we talked about a lot of stuff today, and I usually try to do an affirmation that's close to like the topics that we talked about today. So I would say, in terms of spirituality, the affirmation that I would give, or I will affirm people who are on their spiritual journey right now and don't really have a lot of it figured out. Because, like, honestly, none of us have it figured out. Like, even the people that think they have spirituality figured out don't have it figured out. So I just want to affirm everybody that is feeling like God is still there, but they have changed, like, are in this space where they're changing up what they believed about God. I'm just like, God is still with you. I think everybody knows that. Like, God is still there. Like, and I guess I'm saying this to myself. Like, anybody that's in the situation that I was in, where it was like, I was trying to distance myself from religion and faith, but it was always clear that God was still there. So I just encourage everybody, and also say, like, wherever we are in our spiritual walk, like, God, I don't know, it's like that space is important, you know? Because now that I post on Sundays scriptures and stuff like that, people be looking at me like I'm like this holy person. Like, no, I'm not. And I also don't want to be put in that box. And I have a habit of not putting I don't want to put myself in that box either, you know? So I don't want to do something that people may seem as like unholy, and then people be like, oh, but you post about God on Sundays. Like, yes, I do. And that's my business, as Auntie Tabitha would say. So yeah, I just want to affirm everybody that's in that space. And are there any extra affirmations you want to send out? Okay. I would say my affirmations are different. Like, a lot of people affirmations be like, I am right. I am great. I am powerful. Which, like, we are powerful as well. But that just ain't how I do my affirmations, y'all. But I just want to say thank you for coming onto the show. You're my very first guest. Woo! And it's not easy, like, putting ourselves out there. So I really appreciate you for, like, coming on and being bold and, like, knowing that you have something really important to share with people. So thank you. All right, y'all. See y'all. We don't even call these men our men. These be our friends. Never give your all to a man. You don't fall for that man. Take a trip, make him ball friend. Never date a broke man. Joke man. Always gotta smoke man. Potential but no hope man. Never let a man play you. Make him wanna spray you.